When we look at the months that are dedicated to different challenges in our world, September is a very important month and a really critical month for me and millions of people all over the world. September is Suicide Prevention Month. Hey, David Essel here. There is an incredible lack of information in regards to suicide and why people do it and how to prevent it. And one of the most important things that I can share with you right now is that in our experience of 42 years in counseling, we've worked with people whose parents have committed suicide. I worked recently with a young daughter's family where the mom committed suicide. I've worked with families where their 15-year-old child committed suicide. I've worked with veterans whose best friends have committed suicide. I've worked with active military personnel whose a friend had committed suicide, first responders whose friends have committed suicide, and also first responders who know of colleagues that have committed suicide. I mean, it's really crazy when you work in the world of counseling. You see how prevalent it is and how incredibly difficult it is to get to the core of it and to try to figure out if someone talks about suicide all the time, does that mean they're more likely to do it? Or if people don't talk about suicide but have really terrible habits in regards to addictions, isolation, etc., are they more prone? No one has the exact answers, but I want to share with you what I believe can really help us and get to the core of it. In 1990, I had hit the lowest part of my life, and I was struggling in so many different areas. And one of the things that I had come up with with a solution was suicide. And I had created the time and space in which to take my own life, and I had the materials. And the day of that event, I could not do it. I believe the hand of God was with me, and I could not do it. But instead, as I've told this story many times, I called every psychiatrist in the small town I worked with and finally just picked one and went and sat in their office until they were willing to see me. There was a 3-month wait. Can you imagine if you're any American or a veteran or active military or a first responder and you finally get the chance to reach out for help and they tell you that you have to wait for 3 months? Of course, they did tell me I could go to the emergency room. To me, that wasn't a solution. I needed private help. I needed private conversations. I needed private care. And when we got to the crux of it, like what created my desire to take my own life, it was building for over 25 years. It was in me. I had faced a deep depression, deep anxiety that I was self-medicating with alcohol and drugs. Some people self-medicate with sex. Some people self-medicate with food. Some people self-medicate with nicotine. For me, it was alcohol and drugs. Some people self-medicate with spending. I mean, there's all kinds of ways that we avoid the depression, the anxiety. But I do know from my professional experience and my personal experience that someone that does take their life or attempts to take their life, the pain is so great. They don't believe that anyone else has ever experienced this, number one. And number two, depending on the philosophy that you're raised with, the military, of course, there's no need for help. First responders, the ones that I have worked with and talked to, said it's very difficult to get on the pathway for advancement in their career if they say to the HR department, I'm struggling with depression or anxiety, or I want to take my life, or anything like that at all. During the last 2 years, the percentage of people that have contemplated suicide has dramatically increased. Our practice, and my counseling practice, it has been amazing to me the number of people that have come in initially saying, I just don't think it's worth being here anymore. Those numbers were huge. We're starting to see a decrease, but that doesn't mean we're out of the woods yet. We really need to focus. And so here's a couple pointers that I'd like to share with you. Number one, if you're struggling with depression and the depression is eating you up and creating the desire to be addicted, the desire to isolate, the desire to pull away from family, the desire to pull away from friends, if you're going into heavy isolation, this is the time to ask for help. I'm associated with this amazing group of guys, Tears of the 22. Tears of the 22 is an organization to diminish and then eliminate the 22 veterans, men and women, that commit suicide every day. That's 8,000 a year. And we support them and they support us. And one of the things that Rich and Matt have both said to me, I've interviewed the two founders separately, is that many times these men and women just need an ear to listen to. They don't need advice, but they do need that regularly to deal with the stress, the demons, everything else that's going on. This concept of having an ear, not, oh, hell, you'll get over it, or come on, let's go grab a beer. Everyone gets sad sometimes. No, we have to overcome that fear of reaching out. You know, we have major league athletes that I work with depression, with anxiety, that can't go to their clubs, can't go to their teams' organizations because the sports psychologists there will report directly to the owners because they're paid by the owners. I totally get that. The military has so much fear about asking for help because it could hurt your promotion. Veterans many times are feeling left all alone, unsupported, unloved, after they were promised that once they served their country would serve them back. You know, I was driving yesterday and took a picture of the back of this car that's a real estate agency for veterans. When I was talking to Rich Chelson, one of the founders of Tears of the 22, and I believe it was Rich that told me this story as a veteran, that when he called and applied for a job and they were going through the interview process, and he said, you know, I am a veteran and I'm looking forward to this work. And the guy said, I don't care if you're a veteran. You know, it's those type of messages given to our veterans, our military, our first responders by the general public that can really hurt deeply and diminish the chance of someone really going after the help that they need to prevent the concept of suicide or suicide ideation even from coming into their brain. I was very fortunate that I wasn't able to pull it off. I was very fortunate that I wasn't able to take my own life. A lot of other people aren't as fortunate. If you know someone that really needs help, encourage them in a loving way to reach out to local charities, to local churches, synagogues, temples, to counselors, therapists, psychiatrists. There's all these people all over the world that are willing to help. As a matter of fact, we just started 2 brand new organizations, helpveteransheal.org, helpveteransheal.org, and helpingfirstrespondersheal.org, helpingfirstrespondersheal.org, and it's all about mental health. When these people join those groups, every week they're going to get a brand new television show, believe it or not, on motivation. Every week there will be a mastermind teleconference call where they can anonymously ask for help. That we are going to make it all anonymous, so they never have to worry about someone finding out that they're suffering from depression or anxiety or that they're thinking of taking their own life. We want it to be confidential. If you're a member of active military, a family member, a veteran or a family member, a first responder or a family member, go to these. I'll post the link below. Go below. Join these organizations. We'll be talking about all kinds of mental health issues to give you tools to heal, so that the concept of suicide is a concept but never a reality. Incredibly important. If you're not a member of a veteran or military or first responders, I will work with you one-on-one from anywhere in the world. I knew I should have reached out for help before that day that I wanted to take my life. And the only thing I can be grateful to God for is that on that day, I reached out for help. It was hard. It was scary. It was worth it. My website is talkdavid.com. I'm David Essel. Please share this video on your walls. This month is a month we can save people's lives. Thank you.